Hello, I'm Russell Howard, and this is Wonderbox. A Wonderbox is a place where you keep the things that remind you of the stuff you adore. So I thought it would be cool to do a podcast where I ask some people what they put in their Wonderbox and have a chat about the most amazing moments of their lives. My guest today is one of Britain's best-loved musicians. He became well known for his TikTok videos during lockdown and in no time found himself representing the UK at Eurovision in 2022. His debut album, There's Nothing But Spaceman, went straight to number one in the charts. This is Sam Ryder's Wonderbox. So, I'm here. We'll all say hello, let's do that. I'm Russell Howard. You are Sam Ryder.
Hello, I am.
You are Dan Atkinson.
Hello.
You're the producer, and we're going to chat about things you adore, essentially. That's the point. I've just noticed for the first time, you have a fantastic scar.
Mate, my forehead is like an old humpback whale.
It's wonderful.
I've got scars everywhere on this forehead, and it's a big forehead too.
Yeah, there's a lot to aim at.
Just got a new one
no.
a couple of weeks ago. It's actually made my face a bit more symmetrical, funnily enough, than this new scar. It's a wonky old head I've got.
Isn't it funny when that happens? Because my dad fell 14 foot off a tree recently and had to have kind of like his skull reconstructed.
Oh, gosh.
But then they had to pull everything back. So he looks great. But do you know what I mean? He's got through it. He's absolutely fine. But now he just looks like he's been a turkey. And my mum is livid because she's trying to measure up how far
People
can
are
she
starting
fall.
to give him second glances in the street.
Well, he looks like Benjamin Button and she's walking around. And she aged a decade because she thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
So it's been, but it looks, you've got a sort of air of like a real Viking Harry Potter. It's beautiful. But like,
Mate, thank you.
How did you get that? Sorry.
No, not at all.
Anything really traumatic?
No. It was actually by playing Bulldog, so definitely not traumatic.
Wow, that is a very British injury, isn't it?
Big Bulldog champion of my time, I was.
Who are you playing Bulldog with? Someone with an axe?
Yeah, someone with a hammer for a head.
So is that a childhood injury?
Yes, I was in primary school, which is pretty bonkers because the size of this scar,
man.
I don't know, 1.5 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
On a little kid's head is pretty. I mean, it was a whack. But the cool thing is that the guy that I ran into, Dan, he was called. He still is. He's still alive and he's still there. It didn't work.
Yeah.
Killed him during Bulldog. Yeah. He's got a scar as well. So we had matching scars.
Oh my
We're just
God.
running around the playground, looking over our shoulders, and then bang, straight into each other.
And are you still pals?
No, but I'm blaming him for my ginger beard because he was bright ginger.
Wow.
You know,
so you think he hit
and
him
I've got blonde hair, and yeah, I think I got some ginger through the transaction and the exchange. You know, but you can see my hair like just it goes blonde, and then it goes nah, it's ginger now.
Yeah,
It's
I'm the same.
pretty bonkers.
So I've always been sort of blonde, brown, and then ginger.
Yeah,
and then what starts happening the older you get, a little bit of grey kind of comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that real combo of kind of ginger bit and like fierce. But we've probably got exactly the same.
Yeah, I reckon.
Of like fierce ginger. But then
Yeah,
when
like actual flame.
When the grey comes in, it's all right.
I think it's cool. Chris Evans has got it good, actually. His hair's gone that, like, white. I'm actually looking forward to those years where I'm on a surfboard. Hopefully I'm good at surfing at this point. Just long, silver hair.
Oh,
and
you're
probably
going to be
get that facelift that your dad did as well.
But you're going to be a phenomenal kind of, I don't know if you've got siblings, but like you'd be a great uncle.
Yes, I'm an uncle actually at the moment.
But you must be a ridiculously good
uncle. I love it. I love being an uncle.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
I have 2 sisters.
And presumably they can't compete. Because, I mean, do you know what I mean? If I had an option, it's going to go, should we hang out with Uncle Sam or Auntie Sue? Like, but do you... Because do you know what I mean? I imagine you're fun to hang out with.
I love it. Like, I find a certain weird joy in tormenting my nephews and just, I don't know, messing about.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain what that is, but I think I'm just a bit of a pain in the arse, actually.
So what we want to do is we're going to put things that you adore into this sort of fictitious box. What's the first thing?
I'm going to put a Formula One car.
Okay, that's interesting. Why a Formula One car?
I love Formula One, and it brings back a particular car. It'd be like a Williams, like Damon Hill's Williams.
Yes.
Around sort of in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that in a box because that memory of me and my family, like camping in my dad's joinery van.
Yeah.
Like going down to Silverstone and spending the weekend like with camp chairs and decking out the van so we could all sleep in there and watching the race is just a gorgeous memory.
So that's incredible, because I saw footage of you where you were on the what do they call it?
The grid walk.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you were chatting away and clearly really enjoying yourself.
Like a golden retriever.
Yeah.
Galloping around the cars.
But it's so cool that so you would have been there. You'd have been at that race irrespective of your sort of status.
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, certainly, we'd go and I remember just sitting on a grassy hill next to the fence. Like it was a lot. The sport is
like JFK's Killers.
Yeah. And we'd open this case, right? And
what is
the scope was?
What is the thing? Because it seems so. I've never seen it live.
Yeah, you should. I think even if you're not like, it's such a thrill.
But what is it? Is it just the chaotic speed that they're going at, and you're just in awe of them? What is the thing?
I think for me, it's actually a lot of what's going on behind the scenes, like the strategy, and I find like loads to enjoy walking down the pit garages.
Yeah.
And certainly that's a real privilege, because as a fan of the sport growing up, you never really got to see a lot of that. Like like I said, I was looking through the fence. Also, it's my first ever memory as a kid of being near like famous people, I guess, people that I'd watch on the telly and then see in real life. That's my first experience, like seeing Damon Hill, like seeing those people on TV to then seeing them in the flesh and trying to like hold your hat out to get it signed by one of the drivers walking past. And it's quite magic. And now to experience it behind that sort of velvet rope now is a real privilege.
Have you met Damon Hill?
I have.
And what is that like?
Really cool, because I never expect anyone to be really presumptuous and egotistical and actually psychopathic to ever meet anyone and you expect them to know you. But he came up and he said, like your voice. He'd seen me sing and do bits and followed some of my videos. And so it was really cool. And I was like, man, that just means so much, because I wanted to come and say hello to you anyway.
But see, the thing I think of instantly with this, it's such a British disease, isn't it? I think when you sort of see somebody that you adore and you kind of go, oh God, I better not go over there and say hello because he'll think I'm a dick. So you end up sat in the corner, and then the problem is that shyness and arrogance look exactly the same.
Totally.
So you sort of like this. I remember talking to a friend of mine who's a musician as well, and it was that thing of like, I really liked his song, and you're trying to pluck up the courage to go over, but then your brain's like, mate, don't. What are you talking about? We'll think you're a knobhead. You know what I mean? So it's this weird, the very fact that Damon Hill comes to you, oh, heaven. Have you ever been in a Formula One car?
No, I'd love to.
Have you watched the Senna documentary?
Yes.
I mean, that is
amazing.
The bit when he wins the race, even though he can't move his arm, and then lifts the trophy up.
Yep. It's incredible. I mean, like, depending on who your favourite drivers are, for me, like Lewis is a real inspiration, I think, not just like his like ability on track, but what he stands for off track. And also, it's really easy to be graceful and a force for positivity when you're winning, I find, but it's not as easy when you're losing. And I find it so interesting to see how someone like Lewis is so inspiring to young kids, to remind people that you don't have to win to actually win. You know, you can, and that was a lot of the inspiration we took to Eurovision as well, actually.
Right, yeah.
But what my point is, no matter what sport you're into, to really enjoy the fact that we're getting to see on a weekly basis, most of the time, legends like perform at the highest level of the sport. And in, decades to come, we'll look back at this and be like, you were alive, you got to watch races. It's like me chatting to people that got to see Freddie Mercury sing. I'm just immediately like, tell me everything about it. What was the show like? What was, I want to feel like I was there.
Did you go to the Sotheby's exhibition?
No, was that yesterday or
still
today?
on?
It's still today.
Yeah,
still on.
I went. I was offered.
How was it?
Incredible. And I'm a fan of his. My wife's a huge fan of Queen. But like handwritten lyrics, kimonos he used to give friends. Yeah. Like he had lots of phones. He's got a moustache brush. There's a throne that he wore. Every costume that he wore ever. Wow. So I felt a bit bad actually because I'm a fan. But like real super fans were losing their mind, as you would. And then the mad thing is, Freddie Mercury didn't want anything to be in a museum.
Okay.
There's a big quote on it that says, if I ever leave Britain, the thing I'll miss most is Sotheby's, because he was a massive collector. So it's this perfect, beautiful thing where he's got all these things he's collected that are going to kind of drift out into the world. So somebody in Dagenham is going to own his moustache brush. And there's something beautiful, like he's scattered.
Yeah.
His ashes and his memories and his lyrics are going to just drift all over the world. It's cool.
Like atoms just dispersing.
Yeah, it's really sweet.
Yeah, it must be a conflicting feeling. Like certainly a lot of emotion for friends and family and bandmates and stuff.
And it's
like
also
that
that thing where you go, oh man, he's not here.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's kind of like this hub of belongings, that the only tangible thing left of a person, besides, you know, if we're just speaking about the physical, not the spirit that remains, but those tangible physical things being dispersed, it's kind of a reminder, oh gosh, you know.
Yeah.
But you have to find the beauty in it.
Yeah, man, I love it. So what's the next thing?
Next thing, Zizzis.
Okay, it's a real twist.
Yeah.
So we've gone from Formula One to a nice chain Italian restaurant. Yeah. Nice.
Feels like home.
What is it about the culinary delights of Zizzis that gets you off?
It was my first date, so a little bit of a soft one here.
Okay.
For me and my partner, we've been together 12 years, and it's where we went together on our first date.
That's
so
lovely.
I thought I'd just chuck something like that into the mix, if that's okay.
Mate, more than okay. Did you choose the restaurant?
I did.
Did you know?
I wasn't much of a dater, actually, or a girlfriend person at all when I was a kid, because I was just hooked on playing music, and all my friends that had girlfriends, they never had time to make anything.
Yeah,
they liked music, but as soon as they got a girlfriend, they were like, you know, it's like when you're kids in school. Yeah, you just stop doing it. Your life revolves around someone else. All of a sudden, you never see them again until they break up, and then you get the phone call or the text.
Yeah.
So I kind of stayed clear of it for a long time, just telling myself, just focus on your music. Also, I was rubbish at like attracting a mate anyway.
A mate. I love that. Yeah.
Attracting any kind of female attention. So I just told myself, that's all right, just focus on your music instead. Okay. So I had zero game. So I remember texting Lois on Facebook, I think. I knew that she'd just broken up with her boyfriend at the time. So I was like straight in there, like a rap, drain pipe.
You remember the first text?
It was, are you around for a drink? And then we were like, sorted out, yeah, like we'll do that. And I remember I was fitting someone's kitchen that day with my dad, and I was loading like just rubble bags into a skip. And I just thought, I'm going to up the ante. And I text again saying, do you want to eat? Literally, it was that sentence. Do you want to eat as well? Because I didn't want to come on too strong. But like I said, I had zero game. And then Lois always laughs about it with me, because she's like, that's when I knew you were asking me out on a date, because she thought it might just be friendly drinks or something like that. And then me like saying, would you like to go for dinner? Because that seemed too like, I don't know. I can't explain it. But do you want to eat?
But I also think you have to get, I think if you don't get tongue-tied around your partner, then they're not the one.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? If you can sort of like swagger up to your potential girlfriend and just be this perfect version of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, yeah. I took my wife, our first day, we went to Chiquitos, which is a Mexican restaurant.
Chain.
Yeah. It's outside Cribs Causeway. And I took my brother as well. So,
I love it.
Yeah, and if you know my brother, that is
just three of you.
Just the three of us. Yeah. So yeah, I have no idea why, but that's something that comes back. It's like, why did you bring him? Do you know what I mean?
I so love that. That's such a brotherly thing.
But it's that, do you eat? Why? But you obviously, it's like that David Gray lyric, feels like lightning running through my veins every time I look at you. And it is that thing where you meet someone, or you visualize someone so perfect that your brain's like, do you eat? Yeah. Like that. Yeah. And I mean, Jesus Christ, you're probably writing songs at this stage. You're like poring over the lyrics.
I remember every detail. I remember what I wore, and it was terrible.
What did
I remember
you wear?
wearing these jeans and had zips all over them. Never worn anything like that in my life. Wore a shirt that my mum got me for Christmas that I had I didn't have dating attire. I didn't have it in my arsenal. So I'm looking through my cupboard, and there's like, well, it's just Iron Maiden shirts really here.
Yeah.
Or I've got this shirt that looks like something someone in a film might wear to a date, so I'll put that on.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the jeans to match, so I kind of looked like, I don't know what it was. It was rubbish though.
And did you have the long hair at the time?
Yes, I've always had long hair.
So, and you presumably you didn't have the beard, or did you have the beard?
No, I don't think I did actually.
Okay. Any deodorant? Are we full links Africa?
Yeah, I reckon it would have been. I mean, I was definitely out of the phase of, when you go to your first school disco and you put every single thing that smells of anything on.
Yeah.
You do the whole lot. I was past that point in my life.
Yeah, right.
So it probably would have been right guard. It probably would have been my dad's can of right guard, actually.
Yeah. Bit of guard, strut. So you
RG.
you get to Zizi. Are you there first?
No, I go to her flat first.
Nice.
And then we walk down together.
Where is the Zizi? What town? What city?
It was Colchester.
Okay.
Colchester Zizi.
Yeah. Is there a blue plaque outside there now? That'd be so lovely, wouldn't it?
Awfully dressed man take woman on date here.
And how did the date go? Presumably it went
really
great.
Good. Yeah.
Amazing.
Really lovely. I remember after dinner we walked to have some drinks at a different bar, and we walked past the Yates, and I've always been nervous.
Jesus, you took her to the sites.
Well, no, we didn't go into the Yates. It was a bar.
Okay.
It was a bar after that. But I don't know how your, sort of teens were, but walking past Yates for me in any town was always an issue.
Right.
Because I like long hair, you kind of bit of a grebo, basically. And it was always like you sort of walked, you became very aware of your surroundings all of a sudden because you knew some kind of heckle was about to reach your ears. But I was walking past with her and I was thinking, just not tonight, tonight. Just let me kind of look great in front of this woman.
Yeah.
And then someone wolf whistled at both of us because I had long hair, and I turned around and they just shared, essentially, calling me a bird.
Okay. But as far as the heckles go, that's not so bad.
No, it wasn't bad. It actually made me feel quite sexy in a way, because I had my really skinny jeans with zips on. So, and then an inexplicably baggy dress shirt on top.
So facing that, like as a young man, there's real courage in that. Do you know what I mean? Because you know what it's like when you're sort of 14 to 18 to 20, really, isn't it? Like you go through phases when you want to be noticed, and you go through phases where you're like, Jesus, don't anybody notice me? Let me sink into the wall or the floor.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of know that you've got to walk past as they'd say in Bristol, a Yates's or a Weatherspoon or something like that? How do you keep going with long hair, sort of big Iron Maiden shirts? How do you have the courage not to conform and just be,
because the
quote unquote normal?
They're such small facets of. I mean, I don't live above a Yates or or anything like that. And no, by the way, if Yates is listening, there's no shade being thrown here. It's just it would growing up and to be honest, town centres in general weren't like, you'd usually get a little bit of sort of grief if you were dressed differently. But that's nothing new. But it gives you a thick skin. I think.
Yeah.
But it's worth not conforming, because the benefit is that you're part of this tribe of people who love the same things that you do, and you feel connected to that. Yeah. And that's what you long for, I think, as a kid, especially like if you're in secondary school, in your teens or early 20s, like you're saying, you don't really have enough life experience yourself or idea of who you are. Even at that point, you like to think you do, but you're still learning and you're still copying and you're mimicking people that you admire, your heroes, whether they're musicians, actors, actresses, or artists in any way. So you wear what they wear. You look back at what those people wore when they were in their teens, and like you kind of build up your identity like by osmosis. And now I feel incredibly, like, thank God, comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah, true.
But
and now
also
you've become
with a thick skin.
But you've become the kind of lighthouse to the kind of terrified boats that are teenagers. That you kind of go, oh God, there you go. He's happy. He's fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? He looks how he looks. Yeah, There's no kind of shame. It's kind of weird, isn't it?
What's amazing, Russell, is the demographic at the shows is so like vast. You'll have literally young kids who've never been to a show before, their parents, and even like their grandparents coming to shows. So yesterday we played in Hackney at Earth, and
That's
I
a
was
lovely
with,
venue, eh?
it's lovely, really cool. And I was with my tour manager and longtime pal Kaz. Like, he's such a legend. Been friends 10 years, toured together since no one was at the shows. You know?
Great.
And now we're enjoying like this next phase, like as a team. And the promoter said, so what's the demographic tonight? And we were laughing because we were like, mate, imagine it could be anyone at the show. People turning up completely on their own, but like whole families coming. So in the music world, you can really get hung up on trying to like think that there's a cool demographic and trying to go for them, not realizing that cool is like catching smoke because it's vapid. It moves on in an instant. It's never stagnating. It never stationary rather. So we've never tried to do that, and it's
about being authentic. There's a brilliant documentary, the Gary Shandling Diaries, it's called. He's a comedian, American comic, and his whole kind of ethos was be more Gary. He just kept writing it down. You got to be more Gary. I just think that as a tip to any kind of artist, it's be more Sam, be more Russell, whatever you are. You've got to dig into what is it
yourself.
What is yourself? What are the things that you truly love? And if you kind of follow that, it really works.
Yeah,
because
totally.
Then as a consequence, you're not like, oh, it's a bit like the Strokes, a bit like that. You're sort of whoever you are. Yeah, you know, it's crucial. I forgot the one we were talking about. We were talking. Oh, it's Zizzis.
Zizzis.
So, can you remember the meal? Was it pizza? Was it pasta?
I think it was. So I wasn't vegan at this point. It was seafood linguine.
Oh,
yeah. Both had the same. Both had a gin and tonic. I think we do the same now. We've got the same sort of habits and tastes and noise.
What does she do? If you don't mind me asking.
She makes jewellery.
Does she?
Yeah.
Does she make that?
Yes.
Holy shit, that's all right. That.
Yeah,
it's got a real look of something you'd win. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was going to say, like, you'd be head of the mermen.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
I've got my trident.
But yeah, it does. Fuck, you'd suit a trident.
I would pull off a trident, actually.
Mate.
Yeah, imagine being able to launch one of them. There's no better feeling in the world, I bet, than just having a good throwing arm.
Have you ever done axe throwing?
Yes.
Because of your look, do people go, shit, here we go?
He's going to be good. And then they quickly realise I'm not. But my mate Kaz, he's got a big beard. He's good at axe. He's good at, me and him are super competitive, actually.
So, and Kaz is the tour manager.
Yeah, Mario Kart, axe throwing, any game. That's the beauty of this team, right?
Yeah.
No matter where we are. And there's a lot of downtime in music. It must be the same in the comedy circuit. Like, there's people think that it's the same as that hour that they see on stage all the time. They don't realise how much downtime and waiting and stuff like that there is. So you've got to really, the devil makes work for idle hands. So make sure that you fill it with good, stupid games, basically. So
stupid games are the word for it.
Yeah, it was so fun. So you make a game out of anything. Like, right, hit that sign over there with this pebble, go.
Yep.
Like, or
orange in the bin.
Blow this balloon up quicker than I can. 3, 2, 1, go. And you can do something.
Who's the quickest to have a shit?
Yeah.
All these games.
We were doing one the other day, and I was asleep actually through this. I didn't get to join in, missed it, gutted. Yeah. But make a circuit. Make a circuit at a service station right from the bus. You got to run in, get a square of toilet paper, and run back to the bus. And we had a leaderboard. And people were coming back with like grazed knees because you had to go through the play area to do it. You couldn't miss that out. Yep. So people were getting friction burns. Like you see our crew on stage at the minute, people are their arms are covered in like friction burns from doing these races.
It's amazing. I love all that. I saw a brilliant one on Instagram yesterday. I don't know the name of the game, but there was 4 people, 2 girls, 2 boys, and you've got a bottle of water, throw the bottle in the air, it sort of spins around. Whoever it lands closest to, they then pick up one of the 4 tomatoes, and the other 3 leg it, and that person has to throw the tomato and try and hit them.
Great.
And I tell you what, I watched that to the end.
I know me and you are like, I can tell actually that we're quite similar.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
Like just into complete stupid hijinks, I think.
Yeah, I just think
I get that vibe.
I was on holiday recently. We invented a game. Listen, the game is terrible, but the title of it is Cunt Ball. But it's essentially, it was water polo.
Why didn't they call that James Bond?
Yeah,
movie?
but
Never would have taken off, would it? The same.
But it was like
Roger Moore in
Cunt Ball. Yeah, exactly. Da, 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 da. So basically, it was a bit like water polo, and it's 2-on-2. But you could get a point if you scored, but you could also get a point if you said something really nice about the person. So it was like this kind of, so the aim was to kind of throw it, score, and say, you look lovely. Just trying to get that kind of combo. And that was the highlight of the holiday, because my brother scored a goal and turned to my cousin Lee and went, "That's how you cunt." And that became a catchphrase. But it is that funny thing, isn't it, where I think your age group was probably the tail end of that, where we were lucky enough to spend a lot of time on walls thinking.
Yeah.
And you sort of wonder now how you would invent those games, because how can a silly game...
Bit of Kirby. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Kirby wouldn't exist in the modern world, because Kirby cannot compete with the internet.
No.
But do you know what I mean? Knock Knock Ginger can't, like all those sort of silly little seminal sort of teenage years of just, let's do that, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
And you sort of don't realise you're...
Running an extension, bringing that also the inside, outside, so like running extension leads through your letterbox, put the stereo on, play Wembley doubles, like while Entrance is playing or
Wembley
something.
doubles,
but like,
man.
Or playing your Nintendo 6, like playing GoldenEye.
Golden cunt.
Yeah, I was literally I was like, do I go there? But yeah, playing it on the wall and just I don't know, it was magic. And I don't want to sound like one of those like old heads, like before my time or anything like that, because there's so much to be excited about with what's going on, specifically within the arts. But there was a magic. I think you can not sound and not be cynical, but also really celebrate the era that we grew up in. Like that kind of, that infancy and innocence of the internet, where it was just like AOL message boards and like MSN after school, and then, but there being a computer room to have to sit in to do it, rather than like this full access, and then meeting people and just being outside as much as possible.
But then you say on the flip side as well, there's a degree of punk about kind of social media, where anybody can put a thing and it can become a thing. And then in the space of 6 months, you could be touring.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of that nuts thing that if you get your song right.
Is that must be the same in comedy as well? Because I'm very much like in the echo chamber of music. I'm seeing artists, and it happened for me as well in lockdown, you know, like some people have just started doing it. Some people have been grafting for years and years and years until they have that overnight sort of switch flick.
It's exactly the same as stand-up, where you kind of...
Someone does something funny, puts a funny video online, and all of a sudden they've got a career.
And everyone's like, oh my God, where have you been? Like, well, I've been doing gigs for 15 years.
And you weren't there.
Yeah, totally. It's really funny, man, how you kind of like... but particularly for kids now, it must be really exciting, because you can kind of go to a show, record your show, do a little bit, someone sees it, and you might get, you know, and it kind of grows in a different way. So exciting. Listen, what's the next one? We should
a sixpence, and it's Brian May's sixpence.
Oh wow!
Specifically that he uses to play guitar. I have one that he gave me when I met him.
Forgive my ignorance. Is that a sixpence as a sixpenny piece?
Exactly. Yeah. But so most people would use a plectrum to play guitar with, but Brian May uses a sixpence. Like it helps give him that sound that no one comes close to. You know, no one can mimic. He's built his own guitar, and he plays with a coin. You know, and he's also happens to be one of the best guitarists on the planet. You know, but
so how have you got it?
I've had the honour of performing with Queen and going around Roger's house to rehearse with Brian and Roger, and then having Brian play on my latest song.
I saw that. Yeah. What's the name of the song?
Fought and Lost. And
what does that feel like, having Brian May play on your song? Given that you were a hero of his.
Yeah, I mean, I can't... So cool is such a rubbish, tired response, but I'm struggle to think of something that gives it justice, because... so I'll just paint a picture instead, really. Like, when I was you know, being female repellent as a kid, and
It's a great title for an
and like rushing home
yeah.
from school, still in my school uniform, putting my guitar on and just practicing to Queen songs and trying to figure out Brian's solos when I was learning guitar. You have dreams, you're playing in the mirror, looking at yourself thinking, I'll be like in a big famous band one day, sharing music, like the same dreams that sort of are so crucial for kids to have, these larger than life. Where if an adult had them, they'd be quite, I don't know, egotistical, but kids can have that innocence of like, because they need the rocket fuel to break through the atmosphere. You need that self-belief. So it's like, just playing in the mirror all the time, thinking, but the dream was I want to be in a band like Queen, not I'm going to play with them or enjoy the experience of singing, because that even as a kid seemed too far-fetched and impossible. But then it happened. So I'm incredibly grateful to the, I don't know, whatever forces are at play, because there are absolutely forces at play.
It's so crazy, isn't it? And then the fact that you have this thing that's, even looking at that sixpence, will forever transport you to that mad moment where you're like, Jesus Christ, 10-year-old me is next to Brian May.
Yeah.
Play it cool,
exactly.
Sam, you know.
Mate, and I didn't.
Well, how could you?
But you're right.
Cup of tea, Mr. May.
And also, like you're saying earlier in the chat, I made a rule for myself when I started enjoying this next phase of my life. I would say, like, I don't know, where people have seen some of my videos or heard my music, and therefore you get invited to certain things and certain doors open. I always made a rule, never not go up to someone who you're a fan of and say that you're a fan, because what we're worried about is people sort of saying, oh, so what, or making a fool of yourself. But that's their energy. That's something that you can't control. Because I'll never not go up to someone and shake their hand or give them, most of the time, just give them a big hug and be like, you're a legend. You're brilliant. I love it. And sometimes the danger is they look at you and go, who the hell are you? Yeah. But that's fine. It doesn't matter, because you got to say thank you for
And the interesting thing, it doesn't happen that often, because, like you say, whether it's a British thing, everyone is walking around with this kind of bubble of paranoia. Yeah. So there was a brilliant story that Chris Evans told me. Paul McCartney had just done TFI Friday, and they finished the performance. Paul McCartney finished the song, got onto a speedboat, travelled down the Thames with Chris Evans as that bam, 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 banana music was playing. Cameras cut off, end of show. And Paul McCartney from the Beatles turned to Chris Evans and went, they still like me. Wow. So it's that funny thing that everyone is carrying this sort of imposter syndrome. Paul McCartney is worried about whether people are going to like him. I mean, geez, there's something so reassuring about that. Everyone's kind of the same. Everyone kind of loves somebody saying, hey, man, your song's lovely. Your jokes are great. That bit of painting you did, that book, man, that telly show. It's sort of, you know, everyone is dying of thirst. And when someone says something kind, you're like, oh, thank you. Nice.
If anything, that tells me that Paul in that situation was desperate to put his best work out there, or put his best efforts forward. So and I'd hate for anyone in like position of having done more than enough for music, like Paul, to ever be having to look for validation outside of himself. Like, he doesn't need to be doing that. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just him turning up and doing the best work because he cares about nothing more than music and just absolutely knocking it out of the park. Yeah. How much better is that than someone sort of entitled, floating by, like, oh, that'll be all right. I get paid for that. I'll sell records. I'm set. Like, someone always wanting to kind of create and go forward. And Paul is that. He's never stagnated or stopped.
Yeah, I mean, have you watched you must have watched Get Back.
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh my God. So it's 9 hours.
Oh, hang on.
Where they're filmed in the studio just before they do.
No, yeah, I haven't seen this.
Mate, it's unbelievable. It's like a podcast. It's like hanging out with the Beatles for 9 hours, and you realise
the dynamic.
The dynamics. They're eating toast. They're drinking tea. It's beautiful, honestly. It's a real
I'm going to check that out.
Mate, honestly, I'm excited for you. And anyone listening, if you've not watched it, there is a moment where, you know, when they perform Let It Be on the top of the records offices, where one of the guys not in the band, but somebody sort of whispers the suggestion to Paul McCartney, and we see Paul McCartney's face light up and go, that's it, that's what we're going to do. And just seeing this kind of little seminal moment that we've seen them performing, and then seeing the moment that it was just a bloke went, I'll tell you what, he do on the roof. it just comes from that. It's just a little bloke go, do on the roof, I'll be all right with it. Do you know what I mean?
Love it. Absolutely love that. I know that you'd like this story from what you've just said there, because when I was at Wembley Stadium, after all this rehearsal, after I got the sixpence and had done that rehearsal with Brian and Roger, which, by the way, is the most old school rehearsal on the face of the earth. Like, I've been in kind of the pop music, I'd say, world for last 3 years. I know the spit and polish that's going on and the sheen and kind of the tricks that are pulled and stuff like that. But it's so cool going to Roger's rehearsal room, trying to get the mics to stop feeding back, like, ooh, you know, all this stuff. And then you run Somebody to Love twice. And then Roger's just sat on his drums going, well, that'll do, won't it? That'll be fine. And then you go, well, okay, what we play? It feels like his response is that because we're playing down, I don't know, the Hope and Anchor on Saturday, but we're playing at Wembley Stadium. But they're just kids, man. They're like, they've got that zest still. And when we were there sound checking on the stage, you've got Dave Grohl, you've got the entire like Foo Fighters, you've got drummer from the Pretenders, you've got Brian May, like everyone's tuning up their guitars. It's like School of Rock, but in the epicenter of like the musical mecca that is, you know, that hallowed ground of Wembley Stadium, about to celebrate the life of this bright, hopeful person that was Taylor Hawkins, lost too soon. But everyone's there, and it made me realise that
does that make it even more special when not only do you have the sort of innate wonder of doing Wembley Stadium, that there's a
purpose.
There's a sort of a higher purpose behind it.
I think always all the best gigs have always had something. It's not just music. It's not just come buy a ticket, buy some T-shirts on the way out and go home. There's always something more, whether it's Live Aid, whether it's the Freddie Memorial concert, whether it's anything that, like the Manchester show in the last few years, you know, there's something there that unites people, that reminds us that there's darkness in the world, but it doesn't have to be the darkness that you focus on entirely. You can notice it and you can understand it's there, but if you fixate on the dark, you forget that there's light making that dark even possible to exist, you know? So that's what music is.
This is how important music is. We play it during and after funerals. Yeah. Like no other art form. Yeah. Is like, do you know what I mean? As the coffin kind of go, no one's going, but stand up. Do you know what I mean? Like it do you know what I mean? Let's put on some Richard Pryor. Like,
knock.
Yeah, exactly. It's so... What is music? It's kind of like liquid emotion. It just, and nothing makes you travel. You could hear a song like, you know that song, I never thought I'd be a junkie because heroin is so passe. Bang, I'm 18. I'm at Alton College. I kind of remember it. But I guess as a musician, what you have to do is kind of just lock all that out and just make it for now. But it will be forever. If it catches, this is a song for a wedding. Yeah. This is the song that a kid listens to for the first time. But
more than that, it's a song for yourself, knowing that it will belong to you for the moment that you're blessed to be privy to the information of wherever that's coming from. Because let me tell you, it's not coming from you. I think that all of us are like tapping in to something because these ideas come out of seemingly nowhere, the ether, and you're either like... you're tuned into that moment, you go and you catch it and write it down, or like, oh, that's a good idea. Or you leave it, and you often find that idea will find someone else. I was going to do that, you know, because the universe has to express itself through something, and who else but us, you know, and just life in general. So you own the song while you're privy to that spark, but then you give it to the world. And then whatever happens there is totally beyond your control. It either gets accepted, it might get accepted in years to come, like so many artists whose work wasn't celebrated in their lifetime. It might be top 10 for a week or 8 weeks or whatever, but that can't be the reason that you're trying to do it, because it's totally that point of the art is beyond you.
I love that. You're completely right. And I was sort of like imagining, if there is a God, then the idea that they're just whispering these things. There's something so funny about the idea of like the White Stripes, and it's just like,
Yeah.
brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr, brr, brr,
Yeah.
brr, and then go, right, I've done that. Where's Peter Kay? Garlic bread.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Do you know
Isn't
what I mean?
that's a really
Oi,
lovely
Van
way?
Gogh.
Yeah.
Chop it off.
Yeah.
Flowers. Like,
He was
it's-
probably sick of hearing them. That's
Yeah.
why he got.
Mate, that's brilliant. Do you know, I went to the Van Gogh Museum and it was sort of the tail end of COVID and everyone had to wear a mask, which I thought was unbelievable given that he couldn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
It just felt so wrong that we're all kind of wearing, you know, we've all got our ears. It just felt vulgar. God, that was so interesting. What's the next one? We've got two more.
Two more.
I'm looking at a green lamp.
A green lamp, right. So the beginning of this phase of my journey where people started actually coming to the gigs instead of seeing the back wall of the venue. Started in lockdown when I was putting videos up of me singing in my shed. I just went into that shed every single day, picked some of my favourite songs, and Russell, I sung them non-stop.
Yeah.
And in the background, I didn't even realise it at the time, but it was like a green banker's lamp. You know, like the old classic, like antique.
Yes,
Yeah.
you sort of see in like American libraries.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'd got it from one of those uncles that's not actually your uncle.
Yeah.
Like he just had a bunch of stuff. He was probably stoked to get rid of.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, give it. I want to have a little studio in my mum and dad's shed. So I'll have those lamps. It was just like, cacophony of nonsense in that studio. So much stuff. So yeah, I didn't realise it, but it became kind of like things that others noticed in the comments of these videos, like I love that lamp, and then it became its own thing, and I was like, oh.
And so does the lamp remind you of the kind of ignite phase
Yes.
of your kind of career?
Yeah, and then you kind of cheesily put sort of these this value into it, like this, and it felt like certain like illumination in my life, and that's so cheddar to say, but then you look at this lamp and you're like, it's really sweet, you know, and not realizing at that point where this thing would snowball to, because for me, I was doing it just to, I don't know, like a lot of us were trying to find ways of getting by at that time. And for me, the only thing I knew how to do was sing. And also I was trying to tackle a side of me that would overthink everything when it came to making art, you know, or music. I'd get stuck in, like it for a while, and then end up hating it quite quickly and then throwing it in a bin and never finishing anything. You know, I'd try and sit down and enjoy music. I'd always say I'm a musician and that, but really I wasn't, because I had this standard I was trying to hold myself to, which really is we were saying like arrogance and shyness are very the same, but I think perfectionism and overthinking is arrogance in disguise. Thinking that you're able to attain and to reach this level of like brilliance when you're not even finishing anything. You're not paying homage to the art that is the spark within you. You're not paying service to it.
But I think that's the tricky thing about music, because if you can contrast it to stand-up is created with an audience, whereas music is created for.
Yeah.
In terms of you guys, you lock yourself in a room, you know, eat your toast, drink your tea, smoke your fags, whatever it is to get there. No, it's not that. It was all green. No, it was all blue. No, it was all yellow. Whatever it is. But we don't generally see that. Whereas with a stand-up, you kind of you come on, you do a little gig, you sort of figure it out a bit more, and it kind of grows sort of with them, and they
find
respond.
Your timing.
Yeah, well, and they respond to it. So there's kind of a to and fro. Whereas with music, I guess that's the problem if you have perfectionism, because how do you just leave the sculpture alone?
Yeah.
Because you're just
when do you know when to abandon
when's it done? Yeah, it must
in
be
the good sense.
But particularly when you're not famous, is not, and I want another word for that, but you're not
I know,
you're not at a stage where you can back yourself, because you don't really quite know.
Yeah.
But you sort of know, but you're like, oh, fucking hell, maybe it's this, maybe it's that.
Yeah.
Does it get easier knowing that you have people to sing for? Because presumably that's what makes it hard at the beginning, because you're like, what is the thing that is going to crack through and get me into the next universe?
But even then, you're your intention has to be pure, I think. Like if your intention is to sing in front of a crowd, then you have to start asking why all the time.
What's the point
like
of this?
why am I doing that? Why do I need to do that? And that's tough because it really starts to illuminate any kind of attitude of showing off, which essentially all of us are. If we're in the arts, you have to, and it's fine actually to admit. I saw this great video with Jack Black recently, and he was just saying, "I'm a show off, always have been," but I like it, and I know that me showing off, because I'm not doing it in a space of arrogance or selfishness. I'm doing it because I enjoy it, and I feel confident that other people are enjoying it as well. So there's an exchange of energy. It's not self-serving to him. And I think that kind of like the first step is admitting that we're all show-offs, you know, because otherwise for me it would be fine just to stay in my shed and sing. And in some ways, Russell, like, and touch wood, because I really do treasure and enjoy my career of playing to venues and experiencing what it's like when there's actually people there to share.
And then getting to
it.
travel as well.
Yeah.
Like I saw a clip on your Instagram of some gigs, including a really full-on shot up your shorts.
Yeah.
You're in Switzerland.
Yes.
It just looked fantastic. But that amazing feeling as well, to go from your parents' shed to gigging around the world in the space of 3-4 years. That's a crazy old journey.
And it was, you know, I think that the spark and the catalyst of it really was, I'd been so focused on perfection for the entire time that I'd been into music, that when I just stood in front of that little green lamp and sang straight into my phone and then pressed post, that's when everything started changing, because I felt like in the past I could curate my journey. Like, I'll make it by doing this. And then the one time I totally let all that go, and inevitably probably was the closest to giving up on that dream and being, you know, I'll just sing at weddings for the rest of my life, which was bringing me a lot of joy and thank God, like, income to pay my bills with. So it was blessed as a working musician. That's bonkers. It's so cool.
Well, this is the funny thing, isn't it? When you're I started doing stand-up when I was 18, and I was sort of earning money from it when I was 22, I reckon.
Yeah.
But enough to kind of pay my rent. And the question you always get is like, oh, when are you going to make it? When are you going to make it? And you're like, well, I kind of pay my rent through jokes. Yeah. And sort of anything beyond that is kind of a bonus, because this is what you want to do, isn't it? Like, so it's just that feeling when you can buy a CD or a sandwich, or you can take your missus to Zizzis without going, oh, fucking hell, we better not.
I need to check everything.
When it's all through kind of music. It must be mind-blowing. God, what a beautiful thing to put in. Hello. This is the awkward moment in it where I flog tickets, but I'm doing a tour in America in October, and then some more gigs in the UK in November. They're kind of mostly so. Anyway, if you want to go, and I'd love you to come, you can book tickets by going to russellhoward.com. Right, plug over. Let's have a chat again. Right, what's next? This is the final one.
A sheriff star.
Okay, is that a euphemism for an arsehole? No. It's gonna be, it's a photo of a colonoscopy that went wrong.
That's got me. This is for my granddad. We'd always, before like things really kicked off, every Thursday we'd watch westerns together just at home. So no matter what I was doing, most of my weddings were on the weekends, or rarely you'd have something on a Thursday. So I was always like, right, that day is for me to come and hang out with Grandad, put whatever film that he wants, to be honest, on. So he just introduced me to all the classics, whether it's like Dam Busters or Once Upon a Time in the West or The Longest Day, everything we watched together. And I just think I wish I could still do it now as often as before, but you're kind of, like you said, you know what it's like. You're here, there, and everywhere. But it means that you treasure the time more now that you get to spend. But some people don't even get that, Russell. You know, like just to do a whole bunch of Thursdays with, you know, your granddad. How much of a gift is that?
Have you written a song about that? Because a song called Bunch of Thursdays.
Bunch of Thursdays.
If you're looking for like a lyric.
Nice. So you're tuned in. You're tapped in. You heard the.
But like a Bunch of Thursdays.
Yeah. It's quite a nice song, actually.
But that's where the relationship with your granddad is going to be.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of Thursdays left.
Yeah.
So you got to make those Thursdays count.
It's really cool.
You know. So how often do you get to see your granddad?
As much as I possibly can. Anytime there's a day off, I try and see the family and get everyone together.
And what's
I
your
saw him
granddad?
just a couple of days ago.
What's his name?
Pat.
When did this start? The films.
Well, he's always like been just such a constant. Like we are really close. Some people don't see their grandparents a lot because they might live in different parts of the world, but he's just down the road from where I grew up.
And have your grandparents been to see you? Is your nan still with us?
No. I'm not in touch. We're not in touch. But my granddad's been to see us at the Hammersmith Apollo. He's been to a bunch of gigs, and there's a lot of stairs at Hammersmith Apollo. So I'm like walking my granddad up, making sure before the show, but in my jumpsuit, I've got got this full of glitter and tassels and everything. With my granddad in his fleece. And we go like, "Granddad, I'll get you there, don't worry."
I love that. There's this lovely, bright-eyed old man just covered in glitter.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Down the front, it's like Jesus Christ.
Sequins all over his arm, stuck in his fleece. You know what's really cool about it, and what I really treasure, is that in a really loving way, there's an element that he's not impressed. But and I want to articulate this properly because it's pure love, I think. Yeah. Because that is always like, oh, I heard you on, never makes a fuss, never flaps about, like, the main thing that he wants to know is, how are you getting on? Where have you been? Tell me about. He doesn't care about the glitter of it. With so many people, when you haven't seen them in a while and you catch up, they're asking questions about things that are kind of like outside of yourself rather than what's actually at the core of you. Like, how are you doing? How's your health? If you've eaten anything fun recently, like, he's just obsessed with just the normal, and that's what's gorgeous.
Hey, here's a question. Have you ever been on Saturday Kitchen?
No, I've been on Sunday Brunch.
Sunday Brunch is good.
Great fun, aren't they, those shows?
Saturday Kitchen's another level.
Okay.
When you get to do it, and funnily enough, I'm doing it on Saturdays, so I'll tell him.
Okay.
You have probably about 4 meals cooked by incredible chefs, and take your granddad.
Okay.
If he's into food.
Oh, mate, you should see he puts it away. It's bonkers,
But there's plenty of spare. I'll tell you how much spare there is going, because all the camera crew, they've all got cutlery in their back pocket.
Mate, same as Sunday Brunch.
Is
so
that right?
Good. Yeah.
It's so funny. But as soon as like they cut to a pre-recorded bit, they're like fucking vultures. They're just like
yeah.
Like that. It's just the best.
Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah. But it is. So literally, get your granddad down there. You know, give him a fork, get him a spork, so we can get him before these
Mate,
animals.
It's great. Everywhere we go, it's just like you don't have to impress my granddad. Just get him a fridge magnet from where you go.
Oh,
and
is that
his
right?
fridge is absolutely heaving.
So he loves tap.
Yeah, loves tap. My family are well into tap.
Yeah.
It's just, but I love that because, again, there's no obsession with any of the trappings that come with this life and this career. Everyone's just into the same absolute rubbish, and I love it.
God, mate, it's so interesting. Like when you sort of look at all these things, a racing car, Zizzis, a sixpence, a green lamp, and a sheriff's star. What clearly it shows that you have a real gift for observing the things along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than putting your girlfriend into the Wonderbox, you've put. Oh, remember that sort of special little moment? Oh yeah,
it was either Zizzis or a bottle of Gordon's gin, because it's just so skint when we got together. Like, we would go on camping holidays, like, because the pitch was like maybe £7 a night or something like that. But you'd have a blast because down in Cornwall, sat on the seawall, you knew you couldn't afford a gin and tonic, so you bought your own bottle of gin in your pocket. Yeah. Go into the pub, get 2 glasses of tonic, and then sit on the harbour wall. But you just have a blast doing it, man, because you're just sort of getting by together. You've got dreams in your head of what you want to do.
And what is...
knowing that you'll be there together to see them through, you know?
I think that's the point of this podcast. And hopefully it makes people listening and it makes people coming on the show sort of think about those things that mean so much. You look at a racing car, you're at home with your family, you've got shared moments. It takes you back to that childhood. Zizi, you're with your partner. A sixpence, oh my God, my icon has just given me a vital thing that helps me do my art.
Yeah.
A green lamp, wow, that is the moment when I decided to let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And then a sheriff's star is the importance of checking in with your normal life rather than getting carried away with rock and roll. That's the point of this, isn't it? It's
I think they're all process, not prizes. Situations, right?
Exactly, man. And it's that's the funny thing, isn't it? Or they're portals back to memories that you kind of think. So every time I look at Alpen, you know, musically, I see my granddad, because my granddad used to make muesli for my nan.
For muesli, man.
Yeah, but my granddad used to make it for my nan every day. Do you want your dust? And then kind of pour it to her. But again,
sounds like a prison or something.
It was. It was like
time for your dust, mate.
But it was. But he'd be sat there with a fag, look at her eating this bloody rubbish. But the point is, it's kind of, I don't know, not to get too wanky, but as many things that you can notice that then take you back to those sort of pure moments of like, that was a day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, just that's the point of this. I absolutely love that, Sam. Genuinely.
Thank you so much.
I was really looking forward to this.
Yeah, same.
And you've more than delivered. It was fucking great. I really hope everyone at home enjoyed that as much as me. It felt like we were allowed to wander around the museum of your mind.
Yeah, mate. Thank you to everyone listening for bearing with me waffling on. I really just
everyone loves the waffle.
Loved being involved. It's a real honour. So thank you so much.
Cheers, Sam.
Loads of
Thanks,
love.
man. So that was Sam Ryder's Wonderbox. How cool was that? You can find out more about what Sam's up to. I know he's working on a second album. I don't know when it's out. I'm sure it'll be great. But you can find out. He's on, TikTok, Instagram. He's everywhere. That was his Wonderbox. Thank you so much for listening. We'll have another one next week. Sound good? Sweet.